This is me versus Earlmeister. Card Market sponsor this video. Thank you, Card Market. Buy your singles from Card Market in Europe. So Earl got a 10. He goes first. Now, Earl's playing like the more slow version of Amethyst Steel, which you'll never see me playing ever. Not a chance.
I personally think.
Mine's much more aggressive. So obviously me losing the die roll is a bit alarming. But let's see if I can pull it off. So let's first look at my mulligan. I mulligan very, very differently to how most people would expect. So my opening hand is a 1-cost Diablo, which I'm never going to mulligan that away. And then it's Pete, Genie, the White Rose, Smee, and the White Rose. So I would imagine that everyone's going to expect me to keep the Smee and mulligan maybe the rest. No. I will not do that. I don't remember, but I can just tell you I'm not keeping that Smee. I would never keep Smee here. I just keep the Diablo and get rid of the rest, mate. Pretty much every single time. Yep. I'm not keeping Smee. Are you kidding me? Why would I care? See? I'm even talking like, I ain't keeping Smee. No way. My deck plays 16 1-cost characters, and the current version that I was playing at this event also has 3 Fire the Cannons and 3 Befuddles. 22 1-drops. I don't want to play a card on turn 2. I want to play 2 cards on turn 2. I want to do the Shin Miri special, the Shin Miri line of dreams. 2 1-cost characters is the best opening possible. That's why I don't like this slow version of... That's also why I don't play Calhoun in my deck, right? Like, don't get me wrong, Calhoun, amazing card. It combines very, very well with Elsa. And Calhoun, I think, in any other steel deck, I would play. But when you've got the quality of 1-drops that Amethyst has, you won't catch me playing Calhoun. I also want my uninkable count to be quite low because I like this very, very aggressive mulligan. I draw another Smee anyway, which I'm not too unhappy about. I have 4 copies of pretty much every card in my deck. I only have 3 Elsas, controversial. I almost cut a Smee, but I cut an Elsa. Yeah, I can share my deck list shortly. That's the kind of hand I like. I like lots of 1-drops in my hand. I would like to see a Befuddle or Fire the Cannons. And he inks Olaf. I think... he's a joker, man. He plays Olaf and plays... I'd been moaning to him about how bad Olaf is. Why is he playing Olaf? I said to him already.
Olaf?
What? Olaf?
Playing Olaf.
Okay. Olaf's actually quite good. Flipping Olaf, man. What is that card? That is... I mean, Kendall's been playing it. No, I'm not. Who's a very good player. Much better than me, but I don't understand. I ink Mr. Smee. I think a lot of people are going to be surprised by that as well. Like, especially you got all these 1-drops. Why don't you ink a 1-drop? Because they're broken. They're absolutely busted cards. I don't want to ink a flipping... Smee. Ink a 1-drop. I'll just ink Smee. Smee doesn't draw me cards. Whereas like the Chernobogs, the Magic Brooms, the Diablo basically read gain 1 lore and replace self and thin your deck. Like, they're the cards I want, mate. Like, this Olaf is so bad compared to Chernobog's Follows and Diablo. Like, I cannot stress enough. This Olaf is absolutely awful. Not because it's that bad, but because of the card that you could be playing on turn 1, like a Magic Broom, a Chernobog, or a Diablo. It is so much worse, and you're going to see that. So I go Diablo. And then I'm not sure exactly what I've got to ink. There's a bunch of 1-drops. I've got an Elsa. I'm only playing 3 Elsas as well. Hey, Rachel, good to see you. I'm only playing 3 Elsas in my deck. So I think if I was playing 4 Elsas, I'd probably ink an Elsa here. But I know how important the Elsas are. Here you go. I got a Genie, a Fire the Cannons. So my choices is either Diablo, Broom, or Elsa. And look at my face. I don't like inking a Diablo. Like, you know, I've got... You know I'm unhappy about inking Diablo. Like, I thought long and hard about that ink decision because you have to be really sure when you ink one of these 1-drops. They are the most over-inked cards in the game by far. And Elsa goes into the Inkwell, and I think Earl makes a pretty big misplay here. A big part of with this quest. I think this is this challenge. I mean, I kind of get it. The problem is that he has walked into a Fox. I was able to quest with my Diablo because if he goes Fox, he can take out my Diablo, but I still draw. Whereas he's walked into my Fox here. Like, I'm really happy to see this Olaf exerted if I have a Fox. And I believe I might top deck one. Olaf is to survive Fire the Cannon so you can bounce it. Sure, but it's just so much worse than the other 1-drops. Another Diablo ink. I think I just top deck the Fox and I massively punish this Olaf. Like, it is so bad. So here I have like an interesting decision. I'm always questing with both at this stage. Foxy. Like, this Olaf is so bad compared to this Diablo. It's absurd how much worse it is.
I mean, I
It's a whole card less in hand. So I think Earl made a pretty big misplay here. Like my Diablo just traded up like 10 times on the Olaf. Like giving me this opportunity to trade up on my Fox turn. I think it's like the first thing you need to do in Amethyst Mirrors is you need to win the Fox battle. I gave him no Fox value, right? The only thing he could Fox of mine was the Diablo, which replaces itself, which is why the Diablo was my turn 1 play, because it quests on turn 2 and it wasn't a Magic Broom or Chernobox. I don't want to pop the Diablo. I just want to leave it there. I want to be able to quest with it. So that's why I played Diablo on 1, because then I quest with it on 2, and he can take it out, but I just don't care. It replaces itself. And then I go for the Broom and the other Diablo on 3. But here I've got like an interesting decision on which do I go for. So with the Fox, if I bounce the Diablo back, I'm drawing off the Broom, right? And then if I go for the Broom, I'm probably trying to play the Broom, quest with it again, and then draw with it. Which seems it's like Dragon Shield Starry Night. I mean, like, I just think the Olaf's very, very poor. So I end up actually putting the Broom back. And I think this is a good decision. And I'm glad I paused for thought. My logic is that I'm going to be able to play this Magic Broom again soon, quest with it once, and then draw with it. Whereas like the Diablo, I don't want to really replay it ready. Like having a ready Diablo does very little for me, right? A ready Diablo is basically doing nothing. And I think like a lot of people just pop Brooms way too much. But so far you can see like the Olaf basically is so much worse than Diablo. That's why I'm in a winning position so far. Like I'm going second. My job as the player going second is to try and become the aggressor. And I've already achieved that, right? I'm ahead in lore. And okay, I don't have more board presence, but Earl challenged my Diablo with his Olaf instead of questing. And I traded up. I also have 1 extra card in hand because I'm the player going second. Like, I'm already incredibly happy about how this game's gone. And despite being the player going second, I'm putting Earl in a position where I am the aggressor. And he's taking challenges. Like, instead of questing for 2 with Smee, he is taking out my Diablo. So this is a pretty good play. Strength to deal with my Fox. The thing is, right, this strength is 1 card less in hand. This was basically just a fire the cannons. But instead of fire the cannons, he also lost 1 lore. So now the Fox comes through. And I think Earl says like he misplays here slightly. We were talking a lot. And Earl, basically, what he was supposed to do was something slightly different. He was supposed to challenge with the Fox, quest with the Smee. And because we were talking a bunch, like during these plays, we were like quite relaxed. It wasn't like an official tournament. I thought it was better to like just give him the extra 2 lore here, right? Like we were talking loads, I was kind of distracting him. So basically we say he quests with Smee, he sings strength, and then he challenges with Fox, which is like the play he would have made if we weren't chatting, right? We were chatting about Olaf, basically. So I'm super fine just giving him that. It's not a tournament. So on 4, I find the Genie. Now, the thing that Earl got a bit unlucky about, arguably, I don't know exactly what they mulliganed on, is that they didn't play Genie on 4. When you're going first, you really want to play Genie on 4, because then my Genie on 4 feels pretty bad, right? Yo, Earl, what's up, man? Good to see you. Flipping Olaf. I'm an Olaf hater. I'm the president of the Olaf Hater Club. Hope you're good, mate. So I think I was a bit unlucky that they weren't able to go for the Genie on 4, because me, now being the player going second, I'm really happy with the start. I've got an abundance of cards in hand, thanks to the Diablos. I put the Magic Broom back in my hand as well, ready to gain another lore and just recycle. And overall, I'm just super happy with where we're at. Like, the strength was good on my Fox, but it was also 1 card less in hand, right? So now the Madamim onto the Fox is not exactly ideal. Like, I think Earl's not exactly got the best hand here. Like, he would have liked to have gone Genie on 4, which would have opened his hand up a bit more. Or like a Rabbit on 4, for example. But he didn't have that. So I think Earl's got quite unlucky here in that sense. And I'm just really liking my position. I got the Genie through and bam, another Genie. Happy days. And guess what? You remember that Magic Broom from earlier? Well, I've still got that Magic Broom in hand, ready to quest against once more, and then I can draw off of it, right? But look, I've also gained the Maleficent in hand. Like, look how many cards I have in hand. The Fox bounced something back. The Diablos have drawn me cards, but I've got 5 lore. This is the power of the Brooms and the Chernobogs, and this is why in my mulligan I didn't even keep the Smee, and why I've been inking the Smee, because I value these Brooms, these Chernobogs, and these Diablos pretty much more than any other card in my deck. I genuinely believe that these are the best cards in the deck. The Brooms, the Diablo, the Chernobog. So here, like, we were talking and saying, like, he was kind of saying like, my Olaf's better than Maleficent. And I was like, okay, well, let's see here. So I haven't actually inked. I'm just saying I'm going to play it. Obviously, we're just playing, like, it's not a serious tournament. So I inked the Smee. I played the Maleficent. And this is like another example of why I like Maleficent. It's just applying lots of pressure. I have 1 ink spare, and I've suddenly got a card which is questing for 2. So it's 5-5. Despite me being the player going second, I am the aggressor. I have achieved what I need to do in the first few turns of the game, which is turn it into a game where I'm able to quest and Earl is forced to take challenges. That is basically what you're trying to do as an aggro deck when you're going second. But the Elsa comes through and puts in work here. It cleans up my Maleficent. But let's be fair, any 1-drop was getting taken out by Elsa here, right? Like the Maleficent, super fine. I'd actually rather the Maleficent take that hit compared to a Magic Broom or a Chernobog's Followers. Because if Elsa hits the Magic Broom or the Chernobog's Followers, I lose 1 card draw potentially, whereas like the Maleficent was just a Maleficent and nothing else. I double quest with Genie. It's 9 lore for me and 6 lore for Earl. That's true, Olaf. That is true. Yeah, if it was Olaf, Elsa had no chance. Fire the cannons for Smee. Very, very efficient trade. Of course, 1 card less in hand for me. But, you know, Strength of a Raging Fire did something similar for Earl earlier. Bam! Captain Cranky Head. I'm playing 4. I refuse to play less than 4 Gantus. But also, like, this comes down to a, like, deck building philosophy. Like, I want my deck to zoom. I've kind of built it with a clear goal in mind, which is I want to apply a lot of pressure. And my goal is when going second, not to necessarily fight for board control and the late game win. It's more to just try and, like, get an early lead in terms of board presence with things like Befuddle and Fire the Cannons, and then really try and ramp up the pressure with Gantu. So that's why I'm playing 4 Gantus. It quests for 4, mate. That's all you really need to know. I do think that Gantu is certainly not necessarily optimal. I think Befuddle and Gantu, most people wouldn't be playing, and maybe even not the Maleficents, and they would go for something slower. I would definitely never not play Maleficents. I would always play Maleficent. I think Gantu and Befuddle could easily be more tech and control orientated cards, and that might actually be a better idea. Things like Crabs, things like Bells, I wasn't playing any of. I personally prefer Gantu to Bell. And bear in mind, I played Bell back in the day, right? I played Bell in a set 4 content creator set champs before pretty much anyone else had played her. I haven't played in a month Amethyst Steel, so I think it was also another reason I didn't massively want to play Amethyst Steel is I feel like I might do the deck a bit of a disservice because I'm not really quite like the meta a month ago. I was like super confident. I had like a super clean list. It was super early on in the set. At this point, I had a bit of a controversial list with the Gantus, and also it's best of 3s in the tournament. I didn't really want to like lose die rolls and lose the game, which kind of feels like how it is a little bit, right? And then look at that. That Magic Broom, by the way, I think that is the same Magic Broom I bounced back to my hand on turn 3. It's just been chilling there, waiting. I've never inked it. Yeah, exactly. The Gantu makes sense for me in my deck because I've built it in a way where like the Gantu is really achieving my goals, which is to apply a lot of pressure. So I managed to take out Earl. I think he got really unlucky with his draws. He didn't find a single Genie or a single Rabbit, which is why I was able to out-resource him. But it wasn't a close game particularly. I mean, it wasn't that far off. He was catching up. I do think that Olaf really let him down in this game compared to like the 1-drop switch draw cards. Like a Magic Broom instead of this Olaf, for example, right? If this Olaf was a Magic Broom on turn 2, on his turn 3, he challenges my Diablo with Olaf, like he did, and then he can draw with the broom, right? Whereas what ended up happening was the Diablo, Olaf takes out Diablo, and then I take out his Olaf with my Fox. So I think what I was interested in is actually seeing the Mulligan of Earl as well, to see if it was maybe something in the Mulligan which could have helped him. Of course he plays look at that face, he loves it. That was a good little screenshot. He wins the die roll and he's a very, very happy boy, and who can blame him? I lost it. Sad. So I'm pretty interested to see the Mulligan from Earl. This is taking ages to rewind. I haven't actually got the file downloaded on this PC. It's in my Google Drive, which is why it's taking so long on the rewinds. If it was like obviously downloaded on my PC already, it would not be such a faff. This is taking ages. I think we've already mulliganed. So I'm really interested to see the mulligan here. Yeah, this is from the content creator. No, this was actually not. This was a bonus game. I did not play Purple Steel. I played Emerald Sapphire. And Earl absolutely cooked me in the actual tournament. This was like a bonus game that Earl was super up for when I suggested. We were both kind of waiting around. Unfortunately, you can't quite see Earl's mulligan clearly. Yeah, not sure. Wow, Rachel, that is mean. That is mean. If you guys are just joining us, the North American Championship starts in 40 minutes. This is kind of like our pre-match lobby for it. And I'm just showing some highlights from my recording sessions. My recording session yesterday at the Content Creator Set Champs. This was not in the Set Championships. I did not play Purple Steel. I played Emerald Amethyst or Green Purple. You got some good Japanese food? Mate, that's nice. I squeezed in a little stream last night, so I had a productive evening. What was my record? I did not snag a scar, sadly. I had the same record as people that did. I think the people from 5th to 11th were all 2-2. I was 2-2, and sadly, no scar. But honestly, I have no regrets at my deck choice. It was so much fun. Let's actually try and zoom in on my mulligan, because obviously I'm used to my setup. I'm always quite good at like trying to show the mulligan off. I've got better at it. Because the mulligan's quite difficult to capture IRL. What you'll see, because I'm going second again. What you'll see I do when I mulligan is I basically mulligan anything that isn't a 1-drop. It is lagging. So I've got a weird hand here, and I actually remember I missed mulligan here. I get this wrong. This mulligan was actually a really bad mulligan. Which for someone that's got so many reps with this deck is quite poor from me. But I think I lose this game in a mulligan. Spoiler alert, I lose game 2. But my hand is not good. But why is it so laggy, bro? This is annoying me, man. I pay good money for this. So I had like Befuddle. In fact, I'm actually thinking of keeping it. My hand was like Smee, Befuddle, Fire the Cannons or something. I had like 2 Fire the Cannons, 2 Befuddles in my hand. And I'm thinking at the moment here of keeping Befuddle, Fire the Cannons, and Maleficent. And I believe I get rid of the Befuddle. That's the game losing play. Right there, I lose the game. Game losing decision, that. I just lost the game with that play. Horrible decision. Really, really poor. Like, you're playing Befuddle against someone with Calhoun, and you're going to mulligan it, bruv? Really? And Smee? And you're going to mulligan it? Really? Oh, come on, man. That is such a troll decision. Oh, well. You live and learn. My concern was that I only had the 1-drop Maleficent, and I really wanted to find more Maleficents. But like, even if I find Snake, right? Yo, Bake, what's up? Good to see you, man. So, I get the mulligan wrong. Earl misses his turn 1, and I go Maleficent. And you're about to see why the heck I needed that Befuddle so badly, right? You're about to see it. He goes Calhoun. Oh my goodness. Imagine a 1-drop plus Befuddle here. So in my defense, if I had the second 1-drop in hand already, I would have kept Befuddle and Fire the Cannons. But I was worried that I wasn't going to find another 1-drop. And so I wanted to take that extra mulligan by getting rid of the Befuddle. But if I have Befuddle in hand here, I am doing what my deck is looking to do, which is, despite... I'm also on 2 lore here, right? Despite being the player going second, I'm trying to get the game state into a position where I am the aggressor. That is what my deck is trying to achieve. And that's why I believe that my version of Purple Steel is the best version of Purple Steel, because it's so good going second. Despite being an aggro deck, I'm looking to play Befuddle or Fire the Cannons on this turn and go really, really turn the burner on. But instead, I don't have Befuddle. I go for Snake on 2. That's not great, is it, mate? That's pretty slow. Whereas, if I had the Befuddle, I could have maybe gone Chernobog's Followers Befuddle and still have Maleficent down on the board. My goodness. So this is from the content creator champs, but this is basically a bonus. This is a bonus video. Earl and I played each other afterwards. Of course, Crab does nothing here. Calhoun's probably not going to quest, I would wager. The best, thank you so much. It's like a bonus. It was like a grudge match, if you will, because Earl and I are both big Amethyst Steel fans. And Earl's got a good record against me. He usually beats me. He beat me in Scotland in an actual tournament. He beat me actually when we played each other recently in Disneyland Paris. We had a game and he beat me. He beat me in the content creator set champs. Spoiler alert. I lost my first 2 games. I lost to Harlan and Earl. And then I won my last 2, but unfortunately it wasn't quite enough for the score. I finished 10th. Tied with 5th, basically, but the tiebreakers weren't too kind to me. It was a bit brutal. The 2 people I lost to were like top 5, so... But you're going to love the video. It's really good. I'm really excited. I played Bend to My Will, which discards opponent's entire hand. So here you see why Befuddle would have been quite good. I go double fire the cannons. That is pretty bad, mate. I don't know about that, Chief. I'm not even sure I was supposed to do that, but it just comes back to my poor Mulligan, right? It just comes back to my poor Mulligan. Like this entire game comes back to my lack of Befuddle. If I had Befuddle, I was in a pretty damn good position. Now he has the Genie on 4. He didn't get as unlucky as the last game, and the start's gone much worse for me. I didn't get like Fox trading up. Yeah. It's not looking that good. Oh, the mid-range version is definitely better in most matchups. The problem is you just lose to Ruby Sapphire. If you don't play Maleficence, you literally just lose to Ruby Sapphire. Like, you literally just lose. Whereas if you play Maleficence, it is very likely you're going to win 2-0. That's a big difference. You go from an 0-2 matchup to a 2-0 matchup in arguably the most represented deck in the highest level. That's why you will not see me without Maleficence. Being able to 2-0, especially like 2-game format, is the way that most of these tournaments work. And so you turn like a game where you're getting 0 points into a game you get 7 points. Like, that's why the aggro version is better, in my opinion. Like, don't get me wrong. What's better in this particular matchup is going to be Earl's deck. He has more control. He has more late game control. So I'm unfavored in this one. And I think he got pretty unlucky in game 1 to miss the genies and stuff. But I'm ahead in lore again, right? I've continued to be the aggressor, but I was just too slow. I'm not far enough ahead. I don't have enough resources in hand. It just wasn't good enough for me. And it comes back to that Mulligan. This is why I play Befuddle and I mulliganed it away. The Befuddle would have really, really flipped this game on its head. It wasn't like the Befuddle doesn't suddenly win me the game, but the Befuddle would have been a big, big difference for sure. Earl's not qualified for a challenge, I believe. I think he's got like a couple of top 1-2-8s. He's a good player. Like I say, I've lost to him a lot. Genie goes through. What's that the best exactly? Red blue. There was 24 out of 64. Wow. This is also why I just couldn't personally put red blue in the A tier. I think it's just so easy to beat. And you really don't make your deck that much worse in order to do it. I just don't understand how people let red blue be so good. It's really not very good. It's very, very easy to build your deck to 2-0 red blue in an Amethyst meta when you have goats and merfolks and foxes and stuff. Like, I just don't understand how you could play a deck which loses to red blue when you could just 2-0 it and it's so popular. To be fair in this tournament, it's actually another reason I wasn't that keen on playing Amethyst Steel. I basically expected one player in the 16 to be on red blue. So is it like really, like, I'm not really sure my aggro version of Amethyst Steel was a good meta call for this particular tournament. Because I basically could predict exactly what everyone's playing. And a lot of it was Amethyst. And I also feel like in a best of 3 Amethyst, like a lot of it's going to come down to the die roll. And I didn't really fancy just bringing like a deck that you guys have seen a lot of anyway. But suddenly you can see the game's kind of flipped on its head. Earl's got all the control in the world. Huge board. And he's slowly catching up. Only one card in hand for Earl, but I don't have an abundance of cards in hand either. It comes down to like double fire the cannons for a single Calhoun, which I maybe wasn't even supposed to go for, but I think moreover it comes back to my decision to mulligan away the befuddle. I think also Earl made the correct decision not to quest with the Calhoun in the earlier game. I think it would have been a huge error for him to do so. He considered doing it on turn 2, but decided against it because I just would have been able to take it out of my snake and I would have been very happy with that trade. He's very happy at this moment because off the top, bam, it's Zeus. And this is where, like, this stage in the game, for my deck to win, I already need to be, you know, pretty far ahead. And I just didn't have enough in the early game. But yeah, like, genuinely, because I am kind of far behind the Amethyst meta, like, I haven't played for a month. Amethyst is much more popular than it was before. Like, I'm not sure that my version that I'm currently playing here with no crabs, no bells, is that wise. Not sure, Super Saiyan. Is Chris Coy allowed to play? I believe not. I believe they might have been disqualified, but I could be wrong. I believe they might be disqualified. I could be wrong. So I decided to take out the genie here, or like challenge the genie with the Elsa. If I take out Smee, then Genie could take out my Elsa while sticking around on the board. The tournament starts in 30 minutes. Happy days. You have to have crabs, maybe. I mean, that's what everyone tells me, but I decided, you know what? I'm just going to not play crabs. My version of this deck that I built had a clear goal in mind, and my mind was, I want to quest. If I put a crab in my deck, I am challenging. I want to quest. I don't know if it's correct, but this is the version of the deck I wanted to play, and this is the version of the deck that I would play if no one was telling me I have to play crabs. So I did it. I didn't actually play this deck in the tournament, mind you, but this was just the deck I had for this day. This is the version of the deck I would have played in the tournament. What was on? It was not a live stream. You're watching a recording. It was the Content Creator Set Championships. I posted a video to my YouTube of the final. This is basically just a bonus game that we played. And I thought it was a good one to show in the pre-game lobby because it's just the best of 3. I have a couple of Elsas. That doesn't work against Calhouns. What doesn't work against Calhouns? I have Befuddle. I have 3 Befuddles. Why am I playing Elsa to control the board? He's at 14 lore. It has Rush. I probably have like my other card in hand is probably like Chernobog's Followers or something. And like this comes back to, okay, you're not playing Bell and Crab, and maybe that's a mistake. They're like the 2 main cards I wanted to play, but I just wanted to do my own thing, man. I just wanted to play the version of the deck I wanted to play without like listening to rules like you have to play this card. I think there was a lot. Like, I was kind of expecting Earl to just move the Smee into the library there and let it banish itself. I don't really agree with the Fox play, but I can't stop him anyway. GG. I think it like just moves Smee into library. It's just 1 card extra in hand for free. I guess the Smee is also going to hand, but you can bounce something else back with the Fox, right? I think probably just moving Smee into library was a better decision there. But I guess he was like really applying the pressure. It was fine. I guess like he probably would have made a different play if it was tighter. But now we go to the game where I get to go first. Hooray! I did play Emerald Sapphire. This is a bonus game. This was a game after the tournament, just for content. Like, we're both in the same room. We were both waiting around. I was like, oh, I want to play. He was like, hell yeah, I want to play. We just wanted to play some Lorcana. All right, look at my hand. What am I going to get rid of? The Fox is the biggest question mark. I get rid of Smee every single time. I never keep Smee in this deck. Never, ever, 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 ever. I would never, ever keep Smee. Unless I have, like, the perfect hand. So I just get rid of Smee. Happy days. I'd rather it be in the deck. I don't want to ink it, really. It's like a top deck later, right? Like, I want to find Smee after I play Doc. I don't want to, like, put the Smee into my Inkwell. It just hasn't started. It starts in 30 minutes. Yes, on Dreamborn, I think. Whoop, almost. Right, this is my kind of hand. I just have 1 drops and a fox. That's such an OP hand. Like, there's almost no way I can lose from here when I go first against basically any deck in the game, I would say. Like, honestly, you just shouldn't lose with a hand this good. The Fire the Cannons is the thing that's missing, I would say. I am also being quite hyperbolic, because you definitely could. Things like Tinkerbell, grab your swords. I think Diablo, I play Magic Broom. Why Broom over Chernobog's followers on 1? Because of Olaf. That's why I did it, because of Olaf. Maleficent, Quest. What do I ink? That's a decision. I could befuddle the Chernobogs back, but that's kind of cringe. I just play the Chernobogs. I save the befuddle. Now, why am I not popping the Chernobog? Why am I not popping the Magic Broom, guys? So many people suck at Magic Brooms. No. Why would I? All right? So many people would pop Broom here, and it would be such a bad decision. Why am I not popping the Broom? Because I quest, my opponent challenges, we trade. I gain 1 lore, they gain nothing. If I banish my Broom, right? If I banish my Broom, I have 1 card less on board. I have a less wide board. This is absolutely essential not to draw with this Broom. I am super happy with him challenging my Broom. And he probably will, and it's probably the correct decision. So in other words, I gain 1 lore. Instead of 1 card in hand, he has instead of having 1 card in hand, he has 1 less card on board and 1 less card in hand. Right? I'm the aggressor. I have to be the aggressor. He goes Calhoun. And this is where I learnt my lesson from the last game. Because guess what? I didn't ink my befuddle. Because I'm not a fool. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice. I threw the last game in the Mulligan. It still would have been a tough game for me. I think I'm unfavoured in this matchup. And the fact that I was able to win going first in game 1, I think was beyond huge. Double quest up to 4. Maleficent popping off already. And befuddle. Insane. That's why I'm playing 3 befuddles and 4 Gantus. Right? I've built my deck knowing what I'm trying to do. Because I'm not trying to like challenge with bells and or crabs. I'm just trying to be aggressive. It's a bit of a shame that I don't make use of that last ink. I did ink a Diablo instead of a Fox at one point, but it is what it is. I think I've got a couple of inkables in hand. In comes the Broom. In comes the Calhoun. I think at this moment in time we got told that you can play Japanese Lorcana cards. Japanese and Chinese Lorcana cards were allowed to be used in England and everywhere. How bad is the Precision Strike Steel mid-range? It's awful. You're going to get 2-0'd. If you don't play Maleficent, you're going to lose. To anyone, any half-decent player that doesn't brick, you are going to lose. Especially going second, you got no chance. Going first, I would wager against a very good red-blue player, you've got about a 1% chance. Maybe that's slightly hyperbolic. I don't know. You need Maleficents. You really do. You really, really do. Like, this Calhoun is not good in that matchup at all either, right? But here's what's really nice. Now I banish my Broom. Look, why am I banishing my Broom now? Because it was going to get taken out. Like, it's all about picking the moments to draw with Brooms and Chernobogs. That is the key to success with this deck. Now what I'm considering is I'm thinking, do I even ink? I'm only at 3 ink and I decide, yeah, okay. It will be a little bit ridiculous to stay at that for now. And I had a choice between the Goat or the White Rose getting inked, so I inked the White Rose. Rabbit comes in. I obviously don't have Genie. Genie is like the turn 4 player I want to make when I go first, but I don't have access to it. Hey Jude, what's up, man? Hope you're well, my friend. So Broom. Currently Earl is trailing. Obviously I'm just applying a lot of pressure as the player going first. Not sure I agree with the Calhoun quest there. Because honestly, I'm kind of down to take that Calhoun out. That Calhoun is a pain in the butt. Like, I don't take many trades, but if you're going to offer me a trade like that, I'll take it. So I do decide to quest with the Maleficent. And the reason I decide to do so is because he's threatening Elsa. If Elsa wasn't a card, or he was at less ink, I would not have quested with the Maleficent and I would have left it ready. But because I'm playing against an Amethyst deck, Elsa can rush in and take out Maleficent. If I was playing against a different ink color which can't exert my Maleficent, I'm leaving it there. And I'm trying to quest and then bounce it back in the same turn to re-ready. Calhoun comes back. It's very similar to the deck I was playing with more, and it's slightly more aggressive. It's a bit more refined, but also like arguably worse. It's definitely better. Then the Fox comes through. But like, I don't think you wouldn't catch Moyen playing the version of the deck I'm playing. Pretty unfortunate top deck at this moment because it's Gantu and I'm only at 4 ink. If I was at 5, I would have been super happy. I'd just go Gantu and hold these 2 for the next turn. But then I go Doc, Maleficent. I have 2 ink to spare. Diablo Fire the Cannons is pretty damn good. But it's at this stage in the game where I now have no cards left in hand. When you get to the Doc stage, it's just about drawing more Docs, drawing more Genies. But also any card which bounces is another Doc, which includes Befuddle. This is why I really like Befuddle in this deck as well. If I top deck Befuddle right now, I can quest with Doc, Befuddle my Doc and replay him. That's pretty good. That is pretty damn good. Zeus on Maleficent, the power of the 1-drop! The power of Maleficent! Double quest. Big top deck. Very, very good top deck. I would say it's lucky, but it's the first Genie I've seen this game, so I don't know if it's that lucky. I think it was quite likely I was going to find one eventually, right? I could have found the Genie from the dock as well, right? But it was good. It was good turn to draw everything. I definitely am quite relieved that I found the Genie at this moment in time because he's just used the Zeus on Maleficent as well. The broadcast is soon. 20 minutes. We're going to be watching it right here. Unofficially. Like it's an unofficial restream. You can of course watch the official stream, but if you want to hang out here, we're going to be watching all weekend long. Another Genie! I mean, that now I would call that lucky. I think 1 Genie was kind of expected and 2 Genies is a bit lucky. And there's the Smees that I've been mulliganing away. Remember, this Smee could have been in my Inkwell instead, but I mulliganed it away. And now it's a good top deck at this stage in the game. This is when I want Smee. Just a card which quest for 2 with 3 willpower. That is very hard to stop questing. That's why I'm playing Smee. Not because I want to play it on turn 2. And he can't stop me. It wasn't close. It wasn't even slightly close, actually. Like, I've got goats and white roses in my deck and stuff like that. And foxes and snake, which bounce and re-ready. GG to Earl. Definitely game 1 was close. I think he got pretty unlucky with his... This is the thing with Amethyst Mirrors, right? When you go first, you have such a big advantage. The big game was the game 1. And he got quite unlucky to miss his Genies. But yeah, I got the 2-1 win despite being on the draw, which I was really, really happy with the more aggressive version. So let me show you the version of the deck I played. The broadcast starts in 20 minutes. Big shout out to Earlmeister. What a guy. Very, very wholesome fella. Always happy that he was like, hell yeah, I'm down to play. Which I think is pretty cool. I like playing Lorcana against other creators and being able to do it. Get to play, like, I really wanted to play that deck for some content. So the fact I got to play that is pretty awesome. Let me show you my deck. I think it's this one exactly. It's slightly different. I played... Yeah, it's slightly different. Let me actually edit to what I played. So basically, the things I was deliberating over, I had this... I'll show you what I had in my deck builder. And then I had to just decide to cut some cards. I had this... Yeah, I had this. So this is what I had in my deck builder. Wait. This is the tab, so I can reach out in the other. This is what I had in my deck builder. Basically 4 of everything with 3 Befuddles. I would actually quite like to play 4 Befuddles. I can honestly see a world it's 4 Befuddles. Befuddle on Snake is not even that bad either. Befuddle on Snake to rebounce a goat. Like, honestly, 4 Befuddles could be fine. So let's say it's actually like, I had this 64. Now, the extra cards I was kind of wanting to play some copies of is Crab and Bell. They're the only 2 I was really interested in. And I was very interested in. What I was definitely not even slightly interested in was this card. I was never ever playing any copies of this. If I was ever playing one, it would be one. But I have almost no interest in doing so. If I was, it would be 1 copy because I'm not keeping it in my mulligan. And why would I keep an uninkable 2-cost card Why would I play a 2-cost uninkable card if I'm going to mulligan it away every game? Because trust me, I would mulligan the heck out of that. So this was my like 66 cards, if you will, that I wanted to play. Not 66. There's like 64 cards I wanted to play, with like the bell and the crabs also being cards which I ended up cutting entirely, but were very much considerations. Why did I decide to cut crab and bell? Because I decided I just wanted to be aggressive as anything, mate. I just decided, you know what? I think bell maybe should be in the deck still. I think I could squeeze in a couple bells. I think she's really good because she has an impact when she enters the board. But the thing with the crab, as soon as you put crab in the deck, like actually interestingly, at one point Earl expected me to have crab and was like, I don't want to give your crab value. So I gained value from crab by not even playing it. Pog. Like, why am I playing Pete? Because Pete's a card I've criticized in this deck before. Well, with Snake, it's a lot better. So Snake is uncuttable. Moyen and I cut the Snake in the list for the NA versus EU, and it was a mistake. So the deck in the NA versus EU is based on the deck that I built in Seattle, which Moyen helped me a lot because he was my testing partner. So the thing is, the Snake massively overperforms. Snake is broken. Why is Snake broken? Well, you can bounce dock. You're already playing Maleficence because you need to beat Ruby Sapphire 2-0, or you'd quite like to beat Ruby Sapphire 2-0 rather than lose 2-0. I certainly would. I would never leave home without Maleficent. There's not a chance I would ever play this deck without it. No way, Jose. Not me. I also like speedy decks, right? Let me be clear. You can play this deck as a slower mid-range version, but you are going to lose to Ruby Sapphire. And for me, I want to play a deck that can beat everything. I don't want to go into a tournament where I'm like, oh my god, fuck you, red-blue, I'm going to lose. I want a deck where I go into every single game and I know I can win. And this deck can do that, for sure. Without doubt. So Maleficent's there for Ruby Sapphire. Snake is good with Maleficent as well, right? It's good with Doc, so it's a good top deck when you're in that like late game stage. It's even quite good with Genie, right? You saw in the previous game, I was like down to 0 cards in hand. Well, suddenly a Snake off the top is great onto Genie, it's great onto Doc. It's good on Maleficent. It's good on Smee, right? You go Smee, Quest, Snake, replay Smee, and it's like readied again. It's so good. Like, Snake is non-negotiable times 4. It's an aggro deck. Basically, you have to play Snake. And Moyen and I made that mistake to cut it. It was the one thing I think we really got wrong in the deck list which we submitted, which was that Snake was a casualty to the deck when it really, really, really has to be a card that you play 4 copies of. And I'm sure he would agree with that. I've not spoken to him about it, but like in Seattle, he was testing with me, and we both agreed that Snake massively overperformed in all the testing. It was incredible. So Snake's in there, and suddenly Pete I don't hate. So Pete was in, one copy of Pete was in the version of the deck we played in NAEU, and I kind of hated the Pete. Like, Moya wanted to play 4, and I was like, we should cut Pete. However, when you play Snake, Pete is actually quite good, because you can go Pete on 4 or 3. Let's say you go Pete on 3, Pete on 4. Let's just play Pete on 4, right? You play a Pete on 4. You've got a wide board. Your opponent plays Ursula Deceiver of All, and you play Pete, right? Suddenly, next turn, I can either challenge with Pete for control or just quest for 1, and then Snake Pete on 5. And that is actually really, really strong. You can't do that with a Fox. That costs 6 ink. So if you go Pete on 4, you would need another Pete to repeat. But suddenly with the Snake, you can Pete on 4 and 5. Which is a huge deal, right? If you play Pete in the early game, and you don't have a repeat the next turn, your opponent, you only delay their special card by a turn, and that's not enough. So suddenly, against Emerald Steel, you have Pete on 4, Pete on 5 with the Snake, and against Amber Steel Songs, you have Pete on 4, Pete on 5. Maybe Pete on 6, because then you Fox the Pete, right? So the Pete, like the Snake makes the Pete actually worth playing, and it makes the Maleficence much better, it makes the Dot better. It's just really good. So as soon as I was like, yeah, I'm playing Snake, I was like, okay, I'm also playing Pete's. And that's where basically the deck has changed compared to the NA versus EU. So then it's like, okay, we're at 66 cards. I kind of already told you guys, I decided for this tournament, I wasn't going to play any crabs. I think you probably should play 1. I think a weakness of my deck building is that I like to play like 4 copies of all the really good things, because I find it like, so many people would cut Gantu, but I just look at this card and I'm like, how could I possibly play any less than 4 copies of this card? It's so good. I want to just top deck this card, right? I mulligan it away, and what card do I want to draw in the late game? This. So why would I play any less than 4 copies of it? It's so broken. This is going to win me so many games. It's insane how good this card is. By the way, Gantu won the tournament in Sapphire Steel aggro. And I would say this deck is definitely better than that one. Without a shadow of a doubt, actually. Don't get me wrong. Harlan's deck is absolutely cooking. Absolutely cooking. But I would say this deck is better. Like, would I rather play Amethyst or Sapphire for an aggro deck? You know, that's kind of the kind of thing. It's actually very similar cards. He plays Smee, he plays Gantu, he plays Pete, he plays Doc, he plays Baboom, not Fire the Cannons. But then I just get all this Amethyst stuff. Like, I think it's just quite clear that this is just a very similar deck to what Harlan played to win. But I would just rather pair it with Amethyst, right? Okay, so I decided I'm not going to play Crab at all, and I decided I'm not going to play Bell at all. But then I'm still at 64. So the first thing is I decided I can drop a Befuddle. And then I decided I'm not expecting much Emerald Steel, so I can drop a Fire the Cannons. And now I'm at 62. I also actually have warmed to the 3 docks. So Moya made the decision to submit 3 docks in the NA versus EU, and I absolutely hate it. I was like, Doc is like the best card. Why would we do that? Tournament's 10 minutes away, guys. Don't worry. Tournament starts in 10 minutes. You're not missing anything. And it's probably going to be a starting soon screen that is in 10 minutes, right? But the thing is with Doc is, in like the previous metagame in Seattle, which was set 5, cutting a Doc was completely unthinkable. But now there's Genie. And you're going to play Genie before you play Doc, which means you might not be docking until like turn 6. And there's a very, very good chance that you end up with 2 docks in hand. And you really don't want that. That feels really, really, really bad. You really don't want to do that. That is so bad. Because you end up inking something like a Chernobog or a Broom. Because you have this really bad second dock in hand. So I actually really like 3 docks now. I've really warmed to the idea with the Genies. If you're playing, like, I think Harlan was also on 3 docks in his version of Sapphire Steel. And I spoke to him, I was like, mate, I would definitely play 4 docks in your deck. But 3 is nice with the Genie. But I would definitely not play 3 in Harlan's. I think it's the main thing I didn't like about his deck. They only had 3 docks. I get it. Having 2 docks in hand does feel terrible. But I've actually really warmed to the idea of 3 docks. So then this card that I had to cut was the last really, really tricky thing. I am really, really tricky to decide on this. A lot of people might just submit this at 61 cards. And that would be a huge mistake. You're literally better cutting any single card in this deck, pretty much, maybe apart from Genie, than playing 61 cards, right? Like, you could basically just pick any card you want, even a goat, probably. Probably not Genie, because it is so powerful and it draws. But you could basically cut any card you wanted, and I would still say it's probably better to just do that than play 61. What cards are the non-negotiables to cut? Because that's what a lot of people get wrong when they're deck building. They cut the wrong cards. They'll be like, oh, I'll just play 3 Magic Brooms. No! That is like no! It's like the best card in the deck, mate. You never touch the Chernobogs. You never cut the Magic Brooms. That's rule number 1. You always play 4 of each. They are the best cards in the deck. You never go near them. It's not even a consideration. If you do, like, whenever a Magic Broom gets cut, especially in alternative universe, bangs their head against the table. All right? Diablo, I'm also not interested in cutting. I would never even consider it. Maleficent. Yes. Serious consideration to play 3 Maleficents. I thought about it a lot. Why not play 1 Bell? I think 1 Bell would be a really good option. I probably should have. I just wanted to play all the other cards. Like, I'm finding it really difficult to even cut any of this. I want to play all of these cards. So if I'm fitting in tech cards like Bell, I think Bell probably should be in the deck. Don't get me wrong, I think she should. Probably 2 Bells. But I just decided I want to play Gantu more than her. So I think Bell would be a great addition ×1, ×2, crabs as well. I think you can't really go wrong with 1 crab. And I think I recognize that it's arguably a weakness of my deck building, that I really like playing 4 copies of everything. Because these are the best cards. These cards are better than Bell and better than crab. But as the card pool gets bigger, it's important to have maybe like a few one-offs, especially when you're playing Madam in Foxes and Snakes. You're bouncing it and you can replay the same card multiple times. I will never play 61. You just won't see it. I'm not going to play 61. No Arcasia's Island reveals? No, but you can probably expect some stuff this weekend because we had reveals at the European Championships and it's later than we would expect. So I'd be very surprised if we don't get some cool news today and tomorrow. So, Maleficent is one of the cards I considered cutting. It's uninkable. But the more I thought about it, the more I hated it. I just think this card's really good. I play Snakes, I play Foxes, which makes this really good. My whole kind of game plan I've built in mind is being aggressive. So I actually thought about cutting Maleficent, and then I thought, do you know what I would rather cut than cut a Maleficent? I'd rather cut a Smee. I've never cut a Smee from my deck, by the way, guys. Never. But I thought about it, I was like, no, I'd rather cut Smee than Maleficent, I'm pretty sure. I thought about Maleficent a lot, but I've kept my uninkable count low. And the big reason is, if you think back to my Mulligan against Earlmeister in this game we saw, the one I got wrong, I only had one drop character in my hand, which made me like be a bit worried and Mulligan the Befuddle. And it's so crucial with this deck that your turn 2 is a 1-drop and your turn 2 is 2 1-drops, right? So I Mulligan Smee away. Like when you think about that, suddenly, okay, what other deck do you Mulligan Smee away? No other deck. So suddenly, again, one pitfall that you can get into deck building is like you have to do something. Like you have to play 4 Smees. You don't. Even you don't have to play 4 Magic Brooms and Chernobyls. You don't. So then I thought, mate, if there's ever a deck, I've never even thought about cutting Smee before, but I was struggling a lot. So maybe I cut Smee. And I think I went to bed thinking I might actually play 3 Smees. And then I woke up and I thought, what the heck am I doing? 3 Smees? That's just ridiculous. That's the kind of deck list which if I was to see on a tournament and I saw, I would roast it. And I would say, 3 Smees? They've lost their mind. Right? So I changed my mind. And I think there's actually quite a clear card which goes down to 4 copies of. Someone's mentioned it. I think Pete you play 4 of. I think Pete is just a card you play 4 of or no of, probably. I like Pete with the snake. The thing I like about Pete is it gives me really good coverage into historically my worst 2 matchups, which is Amber Steel Songs and Emerald Steel. I have Snake because I have Pete. I have Snake because I have Maleficent. Yo, Earl, get in! Thank you so much for the raid, mate. Hope you had a lovely stream. Welcome in, everybody. Hope everyone's good. We are getting ready for the Lorcana challenge. It's 5 minutes away. We're going to be watching it on this stream. Of course, you can watch the official stream as well. But don't worry, we're hopping on straight over the action. We're talking Amethyst Steel. We just watched myself versus Earl. And I'm looking at my deck list currently. So I wasn't interested in cutting Pete. I think Pete is actually a consideration to drop down to 3. But I like 4. I think if I'm playing Pete, I want 4 Petes, because the more Petes you play, the better the rest get, right? I play Pete on 3, I play Pete on 4, I bounce a Pete, I play Pete on 5, right? The more Petes, the better, kind of, right? Like the 4th Pete makes the other 3 Petes better. And I think that's also kind of the case with Maleficent and all these 1-drops. This last Maleficent is so good. Like, this last Maleficent is the best Maleficent of them all, because all the other 1-drops get better when I have these other 1-drops. Does that make sense? I think that's quite a weird concept. But this last Maleficent that I get to add to the deck is actually the best of them all. Because I think that the Maleficent becomes better when you have all these other 1-drops, because you're going turn 2 double 1-drop. And we've got Befuddle and Fire the Cannons. So in a way, this last Maleficent is the best of them all. Kind of. That's a weird concept. I'm not sure that actually makes any sense. But it kind of does make a bit of sense. So, what else could go? Well, I know a lot of you are saying Captain Crankyhead. But this is where perhaps my stubbornness got the better of me. But perhaps it's not stubbornness. Perhaps it's I built this deck from the ground up. Right? This deck's kind of my baby. Like I say, I played something very similar in Seattle. Unfortunately, Yen Sid was in the deck, which really tells you that the deck just wasn't as good last set. There was no Genie. There was Befuddles and Fire the Cannons. Like, basically this is my deck I played in Seattle, with the addition of the Diablo, insane in this deck, with the addition of the White Rose, insane in this deck, with the addition of the Genie, insane, and the Gantu. Right? It's literally card for card my Seattle deck, taking away the worst cards from it and adding in the better ones. And this comes back to having a clear deck building philosophy. What am I trying to achieve with my deck? I am trying to quest and win the game. So why on earth would I not play a card which quests for 4? The start is in like 2 minutes. So I played 4 Gantus. I literally refused on principle to play anything less than 4 Gantus. Because this card is that good to me, and it is achieving exactly what I want to do in the deck. This is the best card in my deck when I have 5 ink. Right? It is the best card in my deck when I have 5 ink. I am trying to apply the pressure. I'm playing 3 Befuddles, and I'm playing 4 Gantus. These are my tech cards in many ways. My Gantu and my Befuddles are my tech cards. I said, okay, I could play Bells, I could play Crabs, or I could play Befuddles and Gantus. So I played them. And so I cut an Elsa. Which I hate. I don't want to cut an Elsa. But I decided it's going to be on Disney Lorcana's Twitch channel. I can link you to the official stream. We're going to be watching it though here, if you're interested, hanging out. So I cut an Elsa, and this was my final list. Which I'm pretty happy with. Again, I think you could cut Befuddle, you could cut Gantu, and you could play Bell and Crab and have a more control-y list. Still with the Maleficents. Mr. Big's a really cool card. Mr. Big's a really cool card. So this was my final list that I played. I didn't actually play in the tournament. I played Green-Blue, which is a whole other story. But that's going to be a video. If you guys want to see my Green-Blue deck in action, that's going to be going up probably on like Monday, probably like Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday or so.
Hi everyone, my name is Earlmeister and I'm a Disney Lorcana content creator. I do this full-time as a coach, a competitive player, and just a goofball. You can follow me on Twitch at Earlmeister. Same thing with Twitter, YouTube, and pretty much every socials out there. You can just Google Earlmeister and you should be able to find me there. Anyways, I like to cook a lot of different decks. I'm an off-meta player, and this is what I brought in for set champs. As you can see here in the back, there's one friends on the other side, but yeah, this deck is basically a mid-range deck. It's right in the very middle. I made some changes to this after the NA championships, but during set champs this was the version that I played. I know Speci doesn't like my Olafs, but Olaf is actually pretty ultra megatonic here. Olaf's role is basically just against Steel, specifically against Steel Song or Diggy Diggy Hole, to make sure that we don't lose on the draw in terms of tempo against these Steel decks in general, because Cindy on turn 1 can be really rough, and Olaf is super sticky and can survive. Now, Sticky Mickey is also really good here on the turn 1 spot, but I prefer Olaf because it's just really good with Bell. I can transfer that damage after a lot of testing. I find out that Olaf most of the time survives till turn 5, and with the 2 damage, he can just transfer those two to something else by using Bell. And again, I love my crabs, so I am on my 4 crabs. Everything else here that you see is basically what everyone else run on their steel decks and purple decks in general. We have the Magic Broom, Chernobog's Diablo, the 3 Ultra Megatonic 1 cost for this for just the package of Amethyst, and we have the bounce package as well, of course, for Genies, because Genie's amazing. I made some changes here though, but I'm running more crabs now, or more rabbits, and then 4 Elsas, 4 Beasts as well. I found that Beast is a little too slow, but it worked out for the meta before NA champs, so I love it. And Tinkerbell is more of your checkmate card here. Friends on the other side, checkmate cards against mid-range decks in general, and we have friends on the other side, just one of, because the meta is so fast, you don't really get to sing a lot of this, and most of the time, if the game is slow, that's the only time that you use this. I have a good amount of and then along came Zeus and Strength of the Raging Fire. I only have 2 twos of this, and this should be enough to win your games against mid-range decks in general. And the reason why I don't have a lot of these, because they're not very cash money against Ruby decks in general, specifically Ruby Sapphire, and 1 library, of course, which is amazing against Ruby decks as well. It's just a attack. Other than that, that's basically it with the deck. I went 3-1 with this, and set champs, I bubbled out, unfortunately, out of the top 4, but I have the same score as the 3rd place and the 4th place. It played really well, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this.